Bitcoin is digital gold, but like gold, it's becoming more difficult to move or use as digital cash. As the network ages and transaction fees rise, its use as a medium of exchange begins to wane. However, there are a number of other solutions that could make Bitcoin a lot more practical. Many speak of off-chain scaling solutions such as the Lightning Network, but there is another really exciting option, and that is wrapped Bitcoin. I'm Guy, and in this video I'll be giving you an in-depth overview of wrapped Bitcoin and what it means for Bitcoin. I'll also take a look at the potential for solutions like wrapped Bitcoin to supercharge DeFi adoption. I also have some personal hints and tips as to how you can use WBTC to optimize your crypto portfolio, so be sure to stick around for that. Just a few quick things, chaps. As usual, I'm not a financial advisor. Everything I say should purely be used as educational advice. Please do your own research. Also, for those that happen to be stopping by, welcome one and all. I regularly cover the crypto market, so if you want to see more videos like this, then smash that subscribe. Also, turn on those notifications to get them the moment they hit the tube. And finally, feel free to jump around with the timestamps provided below or adjust the playback speed. Okay, all set? Groovy. Let's get cracking. Now, what the hell is wrapped BTC? No, it's not that Bitcoin that you gave your mum for her birthday. It's tokenized Bitcoin. More specifically, it's Bitcoin that has been converted into an ERC20 asset on the Ethereum blockchain. Each WBTC token is backed one-for-one with a physical Bitcoin. You can think of it as just like a stablecoin such as PAX or USDC. Whereas they're backed by dollars held in bank accounts, WBTC is backed by Bitcoin held in a custodian account. The real benefits of WBTC are that it allows you to access and leverage the Ethereum blockchain with your Bitcoin. It allows you to trade Bitcoin in a completely decentralized and trustless way. It allows you to use your Bitcoin to interact with the expanding DeFi ecosystem. Now, we'll cover all of that in a bit. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's start by taking a look at a few basics. Now, there are 4 types of participants on the WBTC network. They are the custodian who holds the assets, the merchants who mint and burn the WBTC tokens, users like you and me that want to mint or redeem that WBTC, and the DAO, which is the governance component which selects merchants or custodians. In terms of that first one, WBTC makes use of BitGO. For those that don't know, BitGO is one of the most well-known Bitcoin custodians on the market. It was founded in 2013 and has expanded greatly since then. It services numerous exchanges and crypto-related businesses. You should also note that they are one of the few custodians who have insurance on assets held of up to $100 million. Anyways, next on this list are the merchants. Apart from issuing, minting, or eliminating, burning the WBTC, they're also responsible for KYC and identification of the user. Currently, there are a number of merchants, but the most notable are Kyber and Ren. Next on the list are, of course, me and you, the users. We will send our Bitcoin to the merchant in order to mint that WBTC, or we'll send that WBTC back in order to get our Bitcoin back. They will also have to conduct KYC on us. Finally on the list you have the DAO members. All of the custodians and merchant members on the network are DAO members. However, other institutions can also be added as DAO members. They don't necessarily have to be merchants, etc. Essentially, the wrapped Bitcoin token is governed by a multi-sig contract in which the signatures of all of the members are required in order to initiate a change. This DAO structure is great as it decentralizes the control of the network. Anyways, how does WBTC work? Well, it's actually pretty darn simple. Let's say that you have some Bitcoin and you'd like to get yourself some wrapped Bitcoin. You'll basically have to reach out to the merchant and request some WBTC. You'll first have to send them some Bitcoin as well as complete KYC and AML. Now, the method in which you're sending this merchant the Bitcoin can vary. Perhaps the best way is through the use of an atomic swap. For those that do not know what these are, they allow for the trustless exchange of two different assets from two different blockchains. I won't go into the exact mechanics here, but I've linked to some handy resources below. The main thing to understand here is that you can send these Bitcoin in exchange for an ERC20 WBTC token without needing to trust the counterparty. Now, atomic swaps are not for everybody, and as such, there may also be the option just to send the Bitcoin directly to the merchant and trust that they will honor the agreement. Which one you decide to do will really depend on the merchant itself and how long you've been doing business with them. Okay, so now that you've sent your Bitcoin to the merchant, they have to store the Bitcoin and create the corresponding wrapped Bitcoin. They'll send the Bitcoin to the custodian, who will then initiate the mint and create the wrapped Bitcoin contract. This is then sent to the user's Ethereum address. You have one WBTC token that is backed by one Bitcoin sitting at the BitGO vaults. Now, that's the process for creating the wrapped Bitcoin. When it comes to redeeming the Bitcoin, it works in a relatively similar way. You, as the holder of the wrapped Bitcoin, will send the tokens to the merchant, either as an atomic swap or directly. They will then create a burn transaction on the wrapped contract. The custodian will wait for a certain number of Ethereum network confirmations before they will then send these back to the merchant. Once the custodian has sent the Bitcoin, they will complete a separate Ethereum transaction confirming the burn as completed. The final leg of the transaction is, of course, to send you the Bitcoin. That's it. The main thing to take away here is that the system ensures that every time Bitcoin is taken in, wrapped Bitcoin is minted. Every time that it's redeemed, wrapped Bitcoin is burned. 1 for 1. Bitcoin for wrapped Bitcoin. This is all done in a pretty transparent manner. If you head on over to the dashboard on the WBTC website, you can see an overview of the order book. You can see how much wrapped Bitcoin was minted and by whom. You can also see the Ethereum addresses where it was created, as well as the Bitcoin address where it will be stored at the custodian. Hop on over to the proof of asset and you can see a collection of the total amount kept at the custodian, as well as the transaction ID for all of those that have come in. So pretty easy to confirm and audit. Okay, now that you have an overview of how wrapped Bitcoin works, let's take a look at some of the things that you can do with it. Well, the first benefit that you'll note is how easy and cheap it is to send wrapped Bitcoin over physical Bitcoin. Given that this leverages the Ethereum blockchain, you have a much less bloated network to transfer assets. As we've seen recently, Bitcoin transaction times and fees have risen considerably again. This has become even more acute given the fall in hash rates post the halving. Let's just take a quick look at some data, shall we? Here is the average transaction fee for Bitcoin versus Ethereum. 50 cents for the average Ethereum transaction and $6.6 for a Bitcoin transaction. Ethereum can also process transactions much more quickly. The estimated transactions per second on ETH is about 15. Currently, Bitcoin is only averaging between 3 to 7 transactions per second. This, of course, means slower transaction times, with the average Bitcoin transaction now taking about 15 minutes. Anyways, this is not a Bitcoin versus Ethereum comparison, as I like both. I'm just pointing out that being able to quickly and easily send Bitcoin on the Ethereum network is no doubt a pro of using wrapped Bitcoin. Also, let's not forget that Ethereum 2.0 is currently in the pipes. With the introduction of proof of stake and sharding, the hope is that these throughput numbers will skyrocket. If this is the case, then it's entirely possible that wrapped Bitcoin could give Bitcoin the ability to be used as a medium of exchange. The next benefit, and this is a big one, it allows Bitcoin users to take part in the DeFi ecosystem. Instead of converting their Bitcoin into some other ERC20 token that can differ in price, they can just mint some wrapped Bitcoin and dive right into the DeFi waters. For example, you can now trade Bitcoin in a completely decentralized way. Through DEXs like the Kyber network and Uniswap, you can trade Bitcoin versus other assets without having to rely on a centralized exchange. If you would rather like the opportunity to trade Bitcoin with leverage, then there is the opportunity to do that as well. Wrapped Bitcoin is also listed on the DDEX decentralized margin exchange. Here you can trade wrapped Bitcoin against Tether with up to 5 times leverage. I know, not as high as BitMEX's 100 times, but then again, less likely to get wrecked. Apart from trading and exchange, you can also use your wrapped Bitcoin to earn interest on one of the lending protocols such as Compound or ETH. So you can generate returns on your Bitcoin without sacrificing your upside. The annual returns right now are not that attractive, but you get my point. And let me throw another curveball at you. How about funding a liquidity pool over on Uniswap? I covered this more in depth in my complete Uniswap review, but it basically entails being a market maker, using an equivalent amount of two different assets to facilitate trading between them. Over on Uniswap, there are currently 3 pools that you can join. These are the pools crossed with ETH, DAI, and USDC. Some of those pools have very little liquidity, so if you join them, there is an opportunity for you to earn some decent returns from the trading fees. Check out my video on Uniswap if you want to get more info on how to do this. One more dApp that I want to take a look at is tokenized. It basically uses smart contracts to programmatically adjust your portfolio weights. Think of it like those trading bots that you see advertised, except that these are decentralized. They adjust dynamically on the Ethereum blockchain. With the introduction of wrapped Bitcoin on tokenized, you can now set up any one of these Bitcoin trading strategies. So if you always wanted a decentralized and trustless Bitcoin trading dApp, then tokenized has got the answer, thanks to tokenized Bitcoin, of course. Okay, so this is just a list of some of the things that you can do with wrapped Bitcoin on the network. Now, is there demand for it yet? Well, yes, it does seem as if the market is beginning to take notice. You only need to take a look at the total amount of value locked into the smart contracts. This most recent jump in the amount of wrapped Bitcoin was due to the announcement by the Maker protocol that wrapped Bitcoin could now be accepted as collateral. This effectively means that Bitcoin can now be used to unlock DAI. Users can get DAI loans with Bitcoin as collateral. This actually saw wrapped Bitcoin become the second most valuable collateral in the Maker ecosystem as it overtook Coinbase's USDC stablecoin. The hope is that this flood of Bitcoin-backed collateral can further shore up the MakerDAO lending pools and reduce their reliance on Ethereum. Moving to the trading front, you also have the Kyber network that has reported that wrapped Bitcoin is one of the fastest growing coins on their protocol, showing an increased average trading volume in May of 31% compared to April 2020. Similarly, ETH, wrapped Bitcoin, and wrapped Bitcoin ETH trading pairs have already generated 60% of April trading volumes within 10 days of May. This actually saw wrapped Bitcoin overtake other Bitcoin Layer 2 scaling solutions such as the much-touted Lightning Network. Many were viewing this off-chain solution as one of the few alternatives that could help Bitcoin scale, so it's interesting to see wrapped Bitcoin generating more interest. It's also worth pointing out that there are a number of other projects that are trying to leverage the value of Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. These include the likes of TokenLon's IM Bitcoin, Synthetic's S Bitcoin, or the recently launched T Bitcoin. Anyways, it's quite clear that there is a lot of interest in leveraging Bitcoin on the Ethereum blockchain. However, I'm also of the view that it could be a boon for the DeFi space and the whole Ethereum blockchain as a whole. One of the main reasons why I'm excited about the potential for wrapped Bitcoin is the fact that it can bring Bitcoin liquidity to the Ethereum ecosystem. Literally billions in dollars on the Bitcoin network that can be tokenized and run on Ethereum. Think about what it could mean for all the decentralized exchange protocols. While the Kyber network and Uniswap currently dominate the bulk of the trading, there are a number of other DEXs and leveraged trading protocols that could integrate wrapped Bitcoin. My feeling is that they most likely will. When they see the success that these other protocols have had with the integration, then they will follow suit. Even if they do not integrate wrapped Bitcoin itself, you have those other tokenized Bitcoin solutions that could be used. All of them bringing more liquidity to the DeFi space. Now, I know that I've been rattling off about the benefits of tokenized Bitcoin, but I do want to address some concerns that some people may have raised. Perhaps one of the biggest ones that I've seen, especially from those in the Ethereum community, is that of centralization and trust. No matter which way you want to slice it, all of the Bitcoins backing wrapped Bitcoin are stored at BitGO, a centralized entity. Indeed, they've also taken issue with other asset-backed tokens such as USDC. Issued by Coinbase, these tokens are fully backed by US dollars that are held in US bank accounts. These bank accounts are centralized. So yes, on the face of it, they are right. Technically, wrapped Bitcoin is still held by one custodian. They are a central point of failure that many in the crypto community take issue with. However, I think the wrapped Bitcoin system is way less censorship resistant than the likes of USDC or any other dollar-backed stablecoin. Firstly, you have to consider that governance component of wrapped Bitcoin. They've developed a DAO system where a number of members in the DeFi space can vote on who is part of the ecosystem. This voting is all done through a cryptographically secure signature scheme called an M of N signature. Now, as far as I know, there are no dollar-backed stablecoins on the Ethereum network currently that have this sort of governance. Let's also talk about BitGO. While they are a centralized custodian, they are perhaps the most reputable in the world and have the most advanced coin security protocols. You also have to consider that they're covered by 100 million insurance that is underwritten by Lloyd's of London. Add to this the fact that you can independently verify the mint and corresponding Bitcoin transaction, and you have a great degree of transparency. So while I will admit that it's not ideal, it's a more secure setup than we see with some of the other tokenized options out there. It's also way better than keeping funds on a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. You can directly see the Bitcoin is stored at the custodian. It can be verified right there on the blockchain. Try and get that sort of transparency over your addresses at a centralized exchange. I think it's time to wrap up this video. Pardon the pun. Yet I want to leave you with some closing thoughts. I'm a big fan of Bitcoin and it makes up the majority of my portfolio. However, I would be naive to claim that scaling issues are not a concern. As Bitcoin ages, so too does the cost to use it as a medium of exchange. It has become more a store of value, a digital gold that people hodl for dear life. That is why off-chain solutions are often the focus when it comes to the scaling debate. And right now, it seems as if tokenized Bitcoin offers one of the most compelling use cases. It's a lot more user-friendly. A simple Ethereum wallet is all you need. Leverage a blockchain that is well-known, advanced, and most importantly, growing. Let's also not forget about the potential for Ethereum 2.0 to supercharge scaling and interoperability. I also just can't get over how cool it is that you can use Bitcoin in the DeFi arena. Wrapped Bitcoin is acting like an ingenious value bridge between the two ecosystems. It also means that those people who would not hold anything other than Bitcoin aren't excluded from the DeFi revolution. Of course, it is a symbiotic relationship. If more Bitcoin liquidity gets tied up in the wrapped Bitcoin, it means more liquidity for the network as a whole, more trading pairs, more functionality and use cases. I'm also quite excited to see how some of the other tokenized Bitcoin solutions turn out. With all these projects vying for a piece of that DeFi pie, we could see supply skyrocket. I don't think that it's unreasonable to postulate that the tokenized Bitcoin space could evolve into something akin to the ERC20 stablecoin market. Plenty of choice and plenty of supply. Yes, some may take issue with the fact that there is a centralized custodian, but it's a solution that is far more palatable than the status quo. We have to start somewhere, and this is one hell of a good place. And that's it, my fellow crypto fans, my overview of wrapped Bitcoin. That was an interesting topic, but I now need to hear from you. What are your thoughts on wrapped Bitcoin? Do you have any questions for me? I'd love to know in the comments. And finally, if you like this vid, then please spread that love. Please do hit up that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I'm heading off right now to work on my next juicy vid. Guys, I have to level with you. That was not all I wanted to share. Basically, time sometimes escapes me and I can't cover everything I want to. However, this is the prime reason for my weekly newsletter. It's my short and sweet take on the crypto markets and projects making waves. I also look at some news that may have flown under your radar, as well as some juicy coin tips. Now, you have an opportunity to join. Simple instructions. Head on over to the description right now. There you'll find a link to the sign-up form. Enter your email and submit. It's really that simple. So, don't delay. My next one is locked, loaded, and ready to go.